Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 43 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the bounty hunters with me tonight?
Stefan JD.
Stuart Hughes.
Dominic Cichocki.
Our special guest. So that's how you pronounce your last name. I was looking at it for a while, being like, how do you say that?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Oh, and where would people might know you from, Mr. Dominic?
I do some running for Tilting Windmills Studios. I also have a podcast called Dissonant Waves. By chance you've heard of that, you might know me, but yeah, I don't expect anyone to know me. It's whatever.
You're also from Overblood.
I am from the Overblood group. That's also a thing.
We all are.
Yeah, most of our listeners.
I think a good portion of our listeners.
Guests.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you might know me there. The annoying person who posts every week about my writing.
We're very isolated, this podcast.
We're getting there. Oh, and before we get one thing I do want to mention, this is our first episode of season 3, where the seasons don't matter and the episodes don't follow it. But it's our first episode of it, which only means that this is when we picked our next set of episodes.
Yes.
That's all.
Nothing else.
That's it.
That's it. I think that we picked these a long ass time ago.
We picked these in September.
Okay.
I keep track of all this.
Good, because Stefan and I will just give Mike like 5 games, and then 4 months later he's like, "Who picked this one?" And we're like,
It's only with Sound Hill. It only was the October stuff. The October stuff when we picked our Spooktober was kind of a mismatch of us voting and choosing together as a unit, and not us being okay, here's my list of games. Fuck you, play this shit. I mean, it was a little different. It was more of a cohesive team effort. So I had no idea who to give credit to what.
The problem is,
Well, I congratulate y'all on getting games done every week. That's quite the endeavor.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about changing that.
We are a little bit, but we got some plans.
Yeah,
And then, this
we'll
one,
talk
this
about it in the
one's
bonus
okay.
episode. We'll
This
talk
one's
about
not
it like
bad.
end of the year as well.
Oh, what's up?
This game is not a bad one to do that with, though.
No.
No.
Oh, thank God.
No.
Yeah. After like Silent Hill Origins and even Penumbra was quite a haul.
Oh, and before we get too far, I want to give a shout out to another podcast that I found randomly because they had a Facebook ad and we started talking. It's called Pocket Pod Animal Crossing. It's a whole podcast where every week they talk about Animal Crossing, mainly the cell phone game. So,
Is it a cell phone game?
yes, there's a cell phone game.
Yeah,
I'm
Pocket
sorry
Camp.
you didn't know that. But here's our little thing. I mean, pretty much what it is, a weekly Animal Crossing podcast, Pocket Camp podcast, where 3 silly friends sit down and discuss the mobile game and other Nintendo games. So definitely, if you guys looking for another podcast to add in your rotation and you like Animal Crossing, definitely give them a listen and let them know that we sent you their way. There's my shout out. And I think I should introduce what game we're playing since this was my pick. I decided that we should give a little throwback to our first episode. Was it, being the first episode of season 3? So we're playing Metroid Zero Mission.
Yay.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have never really played them. Like before we played Super Metroid earlier on the show, when the show first started, I had not played Metroid games really. Like, I played a little bit of Prime, failed. Played a little bit of Super Metroid, failed. And now I can say I beat 2 Metroid games. So hey, pretty impressive.
Well, they're very much about isolation, so.
It's 2 of the best ones, too.
Yeah. It also wasn't planned that we did. We did Silent Hill Origins last week, which is a throwback to our second episode.
Yes.
And then the week after that is a throwback to our first episode.
Good news is next week's episode is not a throwback to anything.
No.
So
Except to the past. It's nostalgia, right?
Yeah. We'll just play the Batman NES game again. Pretend like we didn't before.
Well, we didn't really play the NES one. We played the Genesis one.
Oh, that's
we
right,
all
played the
failed.
Genesis.
We were still learning how to do a podcast back then.
I did think it'd be funny if I suggested a game we had already done to see if you noticed.
I would, sir. I would.
That's going to have to be like a year down the line.
Oh, I got a whole list of every episode we've done and everything. I'll notice.
I needed the list to be so long that you start to lose it.
It's already happening.
Oh, yeah. I want to mention something before we continue on to Zero Mission.
Sure.
Last week on Origins, I had mentioned that when I was playing Silent Hill 2 that I had gone to the same hotel that's in Origins, and it's not the same hotel.
You're a liar.
Yep, Origins takes place in Old Town, and Silent Hill 2 takes place in New Town. So I was wrong about that.
Hey, these are
Also-
alternative facts, Stefan. Alternative
Yeah.
facts. That's what they were.
Also, we kept going back and forth between sanatorium and sanitarium. And the only difference is that one is Eastern European and one is Americanized in origin.
Well, we were saying
So.
it for our Eastern European audience. We do have like 3
Exactly.
listeners from Ukraine.
We have more.
Oh, we do now more. I told you.
We care about
I told you those Europeans. They fucking love Stalker. I don't know why. They love it. That was for you, Eastern Europeans.
I had actually never played this game before. This is why I put it on the list, because I really wanted to play this game for years, and I just couldn't. I have an issue with Metroid. We mentioned earlier. I mean, it is a very isolated experience, and I could never, for the longest time when I would try to play this game, I could never get very far because I think that whole isolation just kept me away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, don't play these type of games when you're in a very shitty emotional spot, because it doesn't go over.
But then your mom found it, so you got to play it again, right?
Yeah.
My mom didn't find this game. She did find next week's game, but that I'll tell that.
Our name only makes sense every like 4 months.
It's
Just rename the podcast Games Stefan and I thought of last minute.
all rebranded.
9 times.
If my co-host found. I can use the name of the show.
We forgot we picked.
Games Mike hates.
Games Mike. Yeah, we'll make it a tongue twister, so it's even harder to remember.
Okay.
Games Mike hates.
And also, since I just realized I had not mentioned this yet, this game came out for Game Boy Advance, was made by Nintendo R&D 1, and came out in 2004.
R&D 1's last project, too.
Oh, it was? Oh, I didn't know
before
that.
they went into the NPD stuff that went through the GameCube and the Wii U era. Now they've reorganized again, but this is R&D 1's last big project.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
cool. I did not know that. So for those that don't know, this is a remake of pretty much a remake of the original Nintendo game that came out
That's
a long time
correct.
ago.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It's-
I mean, it looks completely different, but it's the same world.
Yeah. It's the same world. It's the same story, but it's just like more of everything.
And
I-
better.
Like,
Yeah.
I struggle.
Oh, yes.
I know this is considered a remake. I struggle to call it a remake just because it's so. I don't know. It's like the Fury Road of Metroid. It just expands on everything in every way. So when you go back to watch, if you go back and look like the original Metroid, it's unrecognizable compared to Zero Mission.
That's because original Metroid's on Nintendo, and it's a Nintendo game. You can only do so much. With Game Boy Advance, you had pretty good hardware to do a lot.
But even
This
like the cutscenes and
Oh, the cutscenes were awesome that they added in this game. They kind of give you more story moments where the original didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
I love those cutscenes.
And they're very simple. They're very just static and just you get it within a few seconds. And that's I think the beauty of it is just you don't need a lot of story. You can just go.
Yeah. It's like almost like visual novel style. It's like a single image and you just pan across it and you're like, okay, got it.
She speaks once at the beginning, once at the end. That's it.
That's a good point.
I wonder if that's
give you a lot of story. It's just Samus. I mean, the game starts off. You're already on the planet. You're not even by your ship. You just start off inside somewhere. And I think that's like you said. And you only get that little bit of verb where she talks about this is her first mission or something like that.
Her so-called zero mission.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mission. Yeah. Your zero mission or mission 1.
Yes.
My question is, why doesn't it start at the ship? Why is the ship somewhere else?
Because it wasn't in the original game, maybe? Or
But that 20 minutes to get from the ship to where she started, what could she have done that was so unimportant?
Plus, she had to get to planet Zebes somewhere, so the ship's there. So the ship's
Right, but they don't even have a way to get from there back to where you would have started, do they, in the map?
yes, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
You can just drop down.
Power up.
It needed one more picture in the beginning of Samus falling down a cliff or something, being like, "Well, can't get back up to my ship now."
It needs to start the way Metroid Prime does. You just get hurt and lose everything.
Yeah.
So,
except you wouldn't lose anything. Well, you do lose some things later in this game.
But yeah, you have a point. The Metroid Prime, which I didn't realize this till I pulled up the Metroid Story chronological map. This game
Wanna
takes
try that
place.
again?
No, not really.
Bada-bada.
Ah! Okay, because this is the first game of the series. Metroid Prime takes place after this game, which I did not know that.
Yes, that's because it's Metroid Prime, literally Prime, a 1. Get it?
Yep.
Zero Mission came out after Prime, so they didn't think about that.
Or care.
Look, everyone knows when when you start working for the space government, your first mission is mission 1 and your second mission is mission 0. Everybody knows that. That's the bureau. It's just classic space bureaucracy.
And then when you go 3D, it's Prime 1.
Look, I've been playing Outer Worlds. I know all about space bureaucracy. There's a lot of paperwork involved in getting that too.
Okay, one thing I do want to say, for those that don't know, all Metroid games are very much you have a map and you explore the map, and as you get different power-ups and different items, you unlock new areas to go back to that you visited before. And one thing I got to say, I felt like this game did a really good job of leading you places, getting what you needed, not to mention the fact that the Chozo statues tell you where to go. Like, I really like that a lot.
Yeah, you get a lot more instruction.
I'm a dumb fuck when it comes to Metroid. If you don't tell me where to go, I'm not going to figure it out.
Well, that's what everybody. I mean, that's original Metroid. Like, everyone's a dumb fuck when it comes to original Metroid. Just that game
I never played
anything.
Original
Metroid like dumps you into a world, and you literally have to shoot every block to figure out if it's a thing. Like, that's how the game is meant to be played.
I mean, this one is a little bit more streamlined compared to like Fusion or like what I've played of Super Metroid, in that like it does kind of become a linear action game. Like, you can explore and do all that stuff, but like Fusion has a lot more backtracking, for example, and there's like more of a sense of, this is where I am, this is a place I'm going to visit. I just keep going back and forth and trying different things. This one is more like you go back places, but it's very like linear about it. You just kind of zoom around and then you get off and you go to the other area.
I would say Fusion was a little bit more hand-holdy.
Perhaps.
Okay. Yeah.
I've only played Metroid and Super Metroid, so I don't know what anyone's talking about. And Zero Mission.
Okay, though. Fusion's
really
on
good.
the show at some point.
Play Fusion, it's good.
Is Prime
It's
the
a creepy
first-person
game.
one that everyone got really angry at?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's really, really good.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think we've talked about this before, how my interpretation of Prime was that everyone hated it and Mike loves it. So I don't know how to feel about it anymore.
I don't love it. I also never beat it, but it's something that I really want to play.
I just remember like a lot of fans
It's
were
very
upset
good.
that it's.
I don't remember that.
I remember a lot of people
Surprising.
bitching about it. At least in my area, people were like, oh, it's
There was
first person
bitching
and
about it.
it's
Well, you come
all
from
this
Pennsylvania.
story.
That's like the whole GameCube era. Like, oh, Metroid
Story.
Prime, Wind Waker, Super Mario Sunshine, and then all those games are good.
People were like, story
Yeah.
doesn't belong in Metroid, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know about that. It's fine to add story to a game that has like, it's like a 4-hour game with 10 minutes of story. I think it's fine to add a little bit more.
Wait,
Yeah,
it's
right.
a she?
Yeah. What if
It's
Well,
a
if you
girl
find
back
that
there?
out in the first cutscene, you see her hair. I want to say you see her face and everything, right?
Guys,
I'm not remembering this
yeah.
wrong, am I?
What if Metroid
No.
was the girl?
Also, when you see, I'm looking at a bunch of
Metroid.
screenshots pulled up right now. You can even see her eyes. Like, you can. I mean, I think that face looks very feminine to me. But,
Yeah.
but it
Well,
could be that
you
I'm
see in
being
the very
biased.
beginning of the game, you see her eyes through her visor,
Okay.
which is a great shot. It's a very cool. First of all, it's technically animated, which is
And it's anime as hell.
yeah, it's anime
Well-
and it's animated because her eyes open, and it's just like I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that in this remake of Metroid. Such a simple thing.
What
They
if
figured-
Metroid was the friends we made along the way?
Oh,
Well, they figured you don't have to do the twist ending again because everyone knows. So just get it over with.
what if the real Metroid was the Chozo statues we destroyed?
I don't think you really destroyed. I mean, you didn't fight any in this game like you do in Super Metroid.
Now, there's that one big one that like collapses, which is fucking awesome.
Oh, okay. I mean, I know there's a story to this game, but then they don't like about her backstory, but they don't really tell it to you in this game very well.
No,
No.
They just hints at it. I don't think it's meant to just tell you everything. It's just like, this kind of happened probably.
which I mean,
Is
I've
she-
always been a fan of that, where it's just like you are Samus Aran, you are a badass, or Samus Aran. You are Samus Aran. You are a badass. That's all you need to know. You're a badass bounty hunter. That's all that matters.
I mean, when they actually
Mhm.
try to do more story, we know how that goes.
I do like how like a bounty hunter is a very specific thing, and I think it had to be Star Wars, right? That just made bounty hunter like the catch-all term
Probably.
for space mercenary.
Sure. Why not?
You're a space guy
Doesn't
that
mean-
does jobs. You are a bounty hunter, whether or not you're
Either
actually
Star
hunting
Wars or
bounties.
Star Wars. You're either working for the government or you're working for the government remotely.
Look, the Empire was a government.
It was
The Rebel
the
faction was
government.
also a government, really.
Eh,
They were rebels.
they were rebels.
Rebel scum.
It's a rebel bureaucracy.
They were also a monarchy. So
Because I want to say, isn't she from this planet? Isn't that what the whole what they're trying to tell you throughout this game? I remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
it says it in her little opening monologue that this was her home.
Read.
I can't. I can't.
I can. I choose not to.
Mike's all
Here, I'll read you her 3-line
like,
monologue.
what?
I'll read it to you. Planet Zebes. I called this place home once, in peaceful times, long before evil haunted the caverns below. Now I shall finally tell the tale of my first battle here, my so-called zero mission.
Yeah, because if I remember her story correctly, I think what happened was humans lived there with the Chozo, and then Ridley came down with a bunch of dudes and just slaughtered them all, and then somehow she got saved in the crossfire.
And then the Chozo raised her.
Yeah, and then the Chozo raised her, which is why she can access Chozo statues to get power-ups and crap.
Meaning they made her the way she is.
Damn Zebesians. Sounds like a slur.
Because she starts off
Zebesian.
in the regular suit with just the cannon, with a stupid short beam, and doesn't even have the morph ball or anything until.
Tell us how you really.
I hated that short beam.
I remember reading that in the manual. Yeah, stupid short beam.
Stupid short beam.
Manual. I have never. I mean, I used to freaking had a very distaste from the Metroid series just because it always felt such a type of game that was so hard to get into. It was so hard to approach it because, with Super Metroid, original Metroid, it wasn't until Metroid Prime that I started to play a Metroid game, and now I'm playing the old ones and falling in love with this one. I thought this is a great intro to the series for a newcomer like me.
It's definitely the bastard child of Nintendo because they don't sell a lot of Metroid. I don't think all the games have hit 1 million, or if they haven't went past it too far.
I know it's more popular here than in Japan.
Yeah, really? And they always outsource it to other companies. Now Retro is making every Metroid.
Based on what I know about games that are popular in Japan, they probably thought Metroid was too easy of a game. It's not blatantly too easy.
Or it's not kid enough.
Well, they have the advantage there because Metroid was on the Famicom and that had saves and stuff. This is the disc system.
It's based off every Japanese arcade game I've seen where I don't even understand what's happening on the screen. Just so many different energy balls that can kill you.
And to answer that earlier question that you were saying, the game, at least back as of 2005, the game has sold over 439,000 units in the United States and 69,000 in Japan. So yeah, this game is not a big hit in Japan. At least Zero Mission was.
Metroid is apart from what was probably the Super Metroid was probably did the best out of all their games, I guess. I have no idea. I'm just guessing Super Metroid did the best out of all their games.
I think before Prime, you're correct.
Yeah,
I would guess probably. Fusion might be surprising, but other than that, probably.
Other M didn't do very well.
It's a bad game.
Well, yeah. And then
I can promise everyone that's going to be on the show at some point. Sorry to interrupt you, Stu.
Is Other M the one where the melting Metroids, or is that Prime? It's a Metroid gets blown up and she holds out her hand and just there's a bunch of Metroid goo everywhere.
Well, that's Prime. That's the end of Prime.
Okay, spoilers for the end of Prime.
Spoilers.
That's the only thing I know about the game is the end of the game.
God, we gotta cut this whole thing out.
Spoilers. What's that movie where Bruce Willis is a ghost, and all I know about the movie is that he's a ghost and he doesn't know it. I just don't.
It's the movie Ghost.
Ghost, yeah. Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg. Bruce Willis and Whoopi Goldberg together at last.
Cool Runnings?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, God.
And then supposedly Metroid Prime 4 is in development still.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
We'll see in 5 years. It'll be the last big Switch game.
I thought I would love that. I would really love that to be on
Probably
Switch.
accurate.
I want to say at the beginning of this year, they said that they had restarted development on it.
Yeah, from what I remember, they were doing it an Ubisoft style where they were outsourcing it to different companies and they would all work on different parts.
Interesting.
And then that didn't work out, I guess.
Yeah, that's
what I heard.
Who could have predicted? Yeah, that's
so now they just hey, Retro, just do it. Just forget whatever else you've been working on for 5 years. Just do this instead.
Yeah. I mean, what else does Retro do? Metro.
They've worked on a game since Tropical Freeze back on the Wii U. So, well, that we know about at least.
They've just been sitting around waiting. Somebody told them that they were going to get Metroid Prime. They were like, cancel everything.
Well, there was a rumor they were working on that Star Fox racing game that never came out. Or was never officially a thing?
That would have been cool. Maybe. I don't know. I just want like a Star Fox rail shooter, like the end of Super Smash Brothers Melee. Just give me that as its own game. Yeah. Anyway.
So one thing that did irritate me with this game, I mean, it didn't come to fruition until way later, is how you get a couple items that say unknown item where it doesn't do anything, and that made me angry. But I also
it fills box.
Fills a box, but it fills it with lettering that isn't English and that I can't read, and I'm just like, I want my item and I want it now. It's my item and I want it now.
It's just a lazy localizer. Like it's some like super good weapon, but the localizer was just like, fuck it, just call it unknown item. It's just still got the Japanese text on it. It's like, I don't feel like coding this.
I played this game a little bit without a guide, but as always, I play everything. I had a guide. I mean, there were a couple parts I had to YouTube what to do, so I just could not figure it out.
I mean, I used a guide for this because I was trying to get a bunch of shit. Because there are 8 endings to this game, by the way.
What the fuck?
Yeah, there are 8 endings. Most of them basically are like complete the game on normal and hard. If you complete the game on normal or hard mode, and then under or over 2 hours and 4 hours, and if you have 100% of the items or not 100% of the items.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a special one that's complete the game on hard mode with 15% or less items.
Wow.
That'd be hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the only difference between the endings is like literally the end card you get of Samus in various states of undress, which feels kind of skeezy now in 2019.
It feels more than kind of, but
it's not even her zero suit. It's like below that.
Yeah, it's like out of her zero suit in her like a sports bra and like Sophie shorts. It's like, congratulations on completing the game.
So that's that orange scene I keep seeing in all these screenshots. Okay, I was wondering why the hell, like, why is she wearing orange shorts? Like, I don't remember this.
I'm sure there's a special name for it, but as far as I'm concerned, it's just like Sophie shorts and a sports bra.
That's close. That's accurate from what I'm looking. If I can find that screenshot again.
But if you complete the game on like the hardest ending of completing the game on a hard with 15% or less items, you get like what I think is a pretty cool one of like Samus with like fire burning in the background, and then like in the background of that in the sky is Samus like holding a gun up. Like, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're talking about.
Except
I didn't know this game had different ending screens.
Admittedly,
they all do.
Yeah, they all have different end screens. I think I don't know if we talked about that in the first game.
Yeah,
or not the first game with Super Metroid. No, we must have, because the best ending is how you know that it's Samus as a girl,
or the internet,
or the internet, or just everyone knows at this point.
Yes,
because Samus is such a popular character now. It's funny that Samus became such a popular character, considering she has very little story going on. I say it's funny, but let's be honest, it's because boobs. But
she's a babe.
She is. Always is.
I have issue with some of the end screens because there's 2 of them where Samus is smiling, and I was like, Samus wouldn't smile. That's not canon.
That's not canon.
She's just always angry and wanting to kill something.
Oh, God,
always glaring.
Things that upsets Stu.
Things that upsets Stu. Smiling Samus makes me angry.
I think she's doing her job. Like, she knows what she has to do, and she does it, and then she can smile because she's done.
After, that's going to be the ending of Metroid Prime 4. The very end, she takes off her helmet, and she's like, "Oh, I've finally done," and she smiles.
She's a very simple woman. She does her job.
The end of Metroid Prime 4 is like, finally, I've hunted all the bounties, and it's like the end scene of Degeneration, Resident Evil Degeneration, where she's like standing on a cliff with a sundress. It was like, what the fuck?
Leon shows up.
Metroid Prime 4 comes out, and it's just like a dating game. Like they completely fuck it up.
I do gotta say, I do like the way the game gives you items. Like it felt well spaced out in this game. I mean, I got completely confused a couple times because I was expecting items that weren't in this game. Like, I'm like, okay, did I get a grappling hook at this point? Because I know but there's no grappling hook in this game, which I'm okay with. 100% okay with that fact.
Well, I like that it does the Metroid thing where everything feels spaced out until you, like, if you open up a guide and you start looking at it, you realize that there's shit everywhere, which is kind of like the original Metroid. There's just stuff hidden in, like, every other room has some upgrade, whether it be like a little, like, or like missiles or whatever.
Yeah.
Was anyone good at wall jumping? Because I no matter how much I try, I cannot fucking wall jump. If you put a gun to my head, you might as well pull the trigger. I cannot wall jump in this game.
I'm okay at it. Like, if I can do it, I need to, but I'm not like expert at it or anything.
I'm better at wall jumping than I was at the Super Metroid like run and jump, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm still bad at that.
Yeah.
I'm still bad at like the screw attack, like getting that to chain accurately.
That's hard.
I'm decent at the wall jumping, but I liken that to there was a glitch in Left 4 Dead where if you played as the hunter, you could face away from a wall and jump straight up and then like land on the wall and jump again, which is essentially the same thing as the wall jumping in this game. And so I liken it to that. Or it's just like I got really good at that, and so now I'm really good at wall jumping in Metroid.
Okay.
Yeah, because you could get the hunter on the very top of Mercy Hospital and insta kill people when you jumped on them.
Was it Mother Brain that had killed everyone on this planet then in the past, and that's why she's here now?
I think it's supposed to be Ridley that did.
Okay, Ridley's not even on this planet until midway through the game, though. For some
except for
reason.
the part where they had that statue with 2 heads.
Yeah, that didn't make
like,
a whole lot of sense.
It's like, hey, you have to beat these, I guess. Why are they here? I don't know.
Isn't also this is the same planet as the planet you go to in Super Metroid, which takes place like 4 games later.
Yeah, the Turian segment. Yeah. You mean Mother Brain, yeah.
Okay, that's the only part that's from Super Metroid. That one little part.
I think so, because that's the very beginning.
The beginning where you get the morph ball is also in Super Metroid.
I'm playing Super Metroid.
Camera there.
I don't know what I said, but suddenly I am getting ads for. Okay, sorry. I have the wiki open, and I'm just every page I open, I'm getting ads for like maxi pads, and I don't know why.
Because we started talking about Samus, so they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you this."
Think about what I said during this podcast because I wasn't getting them before the podcast.
Because boobs.
Because I said because boobs, and they're
you.
like, "Oh, this person's talking about boobs. They must need maxi pads." It's just so weird all of a sudden. A giant ad for like maxi pads or something.
I do gotta I know in the original Metroid game, all they had for the 2 bosses before Mother Brain were Kraid and Ridley, which I know you kill both and they open up that leads to the final area of Mother Brain. And I know this game didn't really only added, I want to say, well, not including the end part, but it did add like another boss maybe 2 bosses. Like you have that mini worm that chases after you for a couple scenes in this game. I did like that part. It wasn't hard to kill, but it was cool. It made me smile.
Was Robo Hitler in the first game? I mean, Mecha Ridley?
No. Because that was in the last part. That was new.
Okay,
no,
so
that wasn't in the first game. No.
Okay.
And then that bug creature that falls to the floor and like dies later. That was cool too.
Yeah, I really liked that fight.
Every time
it annoyed me, but I liked it.
Like enemy comeback in a game with cybernetic parts, all I can think about is Robo Hitler. Which I guess
Achtung.
That's from Wolfenstein, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
My Leben.
Yeah, you fight Hitler. You fight Hitler's head on a giant like RoboCop style body, like that Ed 209 body.
I've never played any of the Wolfenstein games really.
Interesting.
Play the New Order. New Order is really good.
If only we had some kind of podcast.
You should play that in a week. That's too much game in a week.
We played.
Well, we'll find a way.
We did Doom. We did Dark Forces. We can handle Wolfenstein. Same style.
The fight with Kraid, I really liked. I know it's kind of a repeat from the fight in Super Metroid where Kraid, the giant, green, ugly, fat Jabba the Hutt monster that's rising up out of the ground and shooting things at you. But I really did enjoy that fight in this game. He looks way better than he does in the original Metroid game.
I think when Nintendo goes out of its way, or anyone working on a Nintendo game goes out of their way to make something multi-level and huge in scope like that, I really appreciate that. I know in Phantom Hourglass, it did some crazy stuff like that on the DS as well, and I just appreciate the shit out of that.
Yeah.
Plus, Kraid's cool to look at.
And the original Kraid took up 5 screens, and the only reason I know that is because of the Starbomb song, where Kraid sings, "You're gonna die, motherfucker. I take up 5 screens."
Heard it here first, guys.
And then you'll go down easy.
All right. I enjoyed that fight, though.
To feces. That sounded horrible in the recording.
It won't be cut out, by the way, either.
Oh, great. Just me singing Starbomb. Let's just make that a part of every show. I'll sing every Starbomb.
We'll make that the intro from now on. We'll just get rid of Bulby and just put that in there and be Stu singing.
Make sure none of our listeners continue past the first bit. Just me whining out Starbomb lyrics.
You said these guys were good? The fuck?
I'm gonna single-handedly ruin Aaron and Dan's entire career. I'm gonna take down the game rooms, singing their songs terribly.
Like I really like the way that this game traverses as you're getting farther in the game, and the more and more like messed up that the world kind of gets. I felt like you're more as you're digging into a planet. And I love the atmosphere this game gives you, and as you start getting deeper in, you do see the Chozo ruins more. Like I really like that too, and that was really cool to me. And everything felt pretty good. There was one energy tank that I saw multiple times in like one of the early rooms. I never could get to, even with the high boots. I just could never freaking get it. It was pissing me off, but I didn't need it.
Was it the one that was in the ceiling?
Yes.
I think you had to freeze something and stand on it.
Oh, that never happened, by the way.
Yeah, you always gotta freeze those little.
My brain doesn't work.
Fan fiddler crab things that fly. I don't know the name of any of them. This game,
I know. The green things that. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
I hold on. Let me open. I meant to have it open, but I fucking forgot.
That's okay. That's what we do in the show.
Yeah.
Hey,
it is worth mentioning.
Plugged my microphone in this time.
Hey, there we go.
That's a start.
It is worth mentioning the composer of this game is the same composer that was on Super Metroid, Kenji Yamamoto, who also did, I think he did all the Metroids.
This game had music?
Are you kidding me, Mike?
No, I'm not. I plugged in my headphones into the computer, but the headphones are not in my ear. I just plugged in so I wouldn't have to hear anything. I'm not kidding either. I didn't like it. I'm like, I don't need it.
This game had fantastic music. The like overworld, I don't know what to call it, I guess just like the overworld standard theme it sounded like something out of like Ocarina of Time. Like it sounded like the Temple of Time for Ocarina of Time. It had like kind of, it's not quite chanting, but it was like, oh, it sounded like the Halo music. Oh,
a little bit.
There you go. Yeah.
But a lot of it's all remixes of the old stuff.
It had that like it felt like Zelda music. It felt so much like Zelda music that I was looking up to see if Kenji Yamamoto ever worked on a Zelda game, and he was only a supervisor in Breath of the Wild. He never worked on any of them previously.
Well, there's some other rocking tunes later in the game too. Yeah.
Keep going. I tried. I couldn't do it.
Did the original Zelda come first, or did Metroid come first?
What?
The original Zelda come first, or did Metroid come first on the Nintendo Famicom?
I would think the original Zelda came first.
Original Zelda, I'm pretty sure.
The original Metroid was 86.
Because like back then, you have like Zelda and Metroid were very similar, and then they went down very different paths.
Yeah.
Where Metroid kind of retained that style. And
you can argue one path was more successful than the other.
but it's like these two franchises were once very similar.
Okay.
Kind of diverged.
Oh, interesting. The Legend of Zelda came out February 21st, 1986. The original Metroid came out also in 86. What month is it? Gotta go all the way back up to the top of my list here. The original Metroid came out in August 86, so it came out a few months later.
So they're probably people sharing teams and all that. Probably very similar DNA.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that's all of Nintendo, is them just like talking to their teams and being like, hey, we need some music for this. You got anything that you didn't use in Zelda?
But I mean, like also just like the way like exploration and like the style, because like Zelda is like a very free form exploration of like burn a bush, maybe you can find something, maybe.
Like Nintendo had that. Nintendo has that like that level design that is just in like even like into 3D Nintendo games. They have that like very specific level design that's just works so well. Like we're gonna hide something around this corner. Like if you're a Nintendo fan and you play any Nintendo game, you start to notice like I bet there's a secret hidden there, because I've played enough Nintendo games to know there's a secret hidden in that crevice.
Yeah, that was definitely back in the age of games when they used to have secrets. There were actually secrets. Like I don't want to bring up Phil Fish, but like even he went on record to say something, which most people gave him shit for. Like went on record to say that like Japan needs to up their secrets because their games suck now.
Big talk from Phil Fish. What's that guy doing nowadays? Oh, nothing.
I know, right?
I was getting annoyed with the sound effects in this game. I know they're good. I know the music's good, but it just annoyed me listening to the shooting. I don't know. I got annoyed with it. So I just turned it off.
Does anyone get like unreasonably upset when you're playing a game and you see a waterfall and there's nothing behind it?
Yes.
Yeah, what the fuck? Like we've agreed on this game. This is where things are supposed to be.
Oh, and there was a scene where you had to walk through walls in this game randomly for no reason. I laughed and remembered our first episode.
That fucking area where like it was like piping, and the piping started getting destroyed, and you had to climb over it in time with it being destroyed. That was fucking tough for me. because I suck at platforming.
It doesn't look like something you could climb either at first.
No, yeah, you just have to know that you can like jump on it and kind of this
game.
game.
The one you have the bomb, and then like as it gets bombed, you just jump.
Yeah, and this game has like ledge climbing, which I wasn't expecting. But
this game is like fake outs where you think it's gonna be like a hot lava thing, and then it's just not.
Yeah, a lot of I credit a lot of this in the original Super Metroid too, in our original Super Metroid episode. I mean, where these guys just get level design. They just understand how people will feel when they get to an area perfectly. You'll fall you're falling in lava and you land on something. You're like, oh, thank God. And I guarantee you, like 95% of people that play this game have the same experience. They're like, oh, thank God, I thought it was lava.
Yeah.
Like they're so consistently good about tricking you or like playing a little prank on their players.
I never, if it wasn't for the fact that I watched a video, like I got lost in a couple parts where they have the fake acid, and I'm like, where do I go? And then I looked, and he just jumps in the acid and it goes away, and I'm like, oh, it's fake. I'm like, I would have never figured that out otherwise.
Yeah, Metroid's still a lot more trickier than Zelda, I would think. Like it's a little more able to say fuck you, where Zelda is kind of more like, you'll get it. I believe in you.
Mm-hmm. Hence Metroidvania.
I love Castlevania and Metroidvania games. I am not as big I like leveling up when I'm exploring, so then if I get lost, I don't feel like I got lost for nothing because I come out stronger. Where in a Metroid game, I get lost if I don't use a guide, and I don't come out stronger. I just come out knowing the map better, which I guess in one sense I'm stronger in quotations, but it doesn't have the same effect for me.
Your mind is stronger, even though Samus is not.
Yeah.
I need Samus to be stronger, damn it.
Check out Mind Stronger on Netflix. Mind Stronger.
I also like that this game didn't feel as dominant about needing missiles for everything you do, like in Super Metroid felt to me when I remember. Like I thought that was kind of nice. Like I mean, you get missiles, you use them, but they're not necessary for every little thing you do in this game. I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Super Metroid also like 5 missiles per door?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was super annoying because you could absolutely run out of missiles if you weren't like keeping track of it. I mean, I ended that game with a shitload, but it's because I was playing like very conservatively and not using my missiles, so I didn't have to. Like I barely ever used missiles on bosses until the very end.
Play survival horror games.
Yeah.
You're very conservative. I'm not.
That's true.
I mean, I didn't use a lot. I mean, I use missiles all the time on bosses. Like I just didn't. I just unload on them.
To this day, I regret when we played Stalker not making everybody count how much ammo and medicine they had at the end to see what everyone's like different play style was. We should do that next time we play like a Resident Evil. Everyone should say how much handgun ammo they have left over.
Yes, please. Let's do that. That would be awesome.
Me and Stefan will be like, our entire box is full. Mike is like, I ran out first room. I don't know. I didn't find any more.
Well, I don't run out, but I
shot out a wall. Yeah.
Let's get reloaded from that.
Honestly,
one thing that did confuse me in this game is like as you progress through the game, after you kill Kraid, like you see a cutscene with Ridley sitting in his ship. One, I have no idea how he pilots that ship, but that's neither here nor there.
Well,
and
I have other questions about that because can't Ridley fly through space?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think this came up. I think this joke came up on an earlier episode too, because I think I related it to Kraid has wings and he can survive in space and he can fly through space.
Me, Ridley.
Yes, Ridley.
Kraid's fat and has fat.
But Ridley has a spaceship, and then I thought about it and I was like, well, I can walk and breathe oxygen, but I still drive everywhere.
Maybe he came from a really far away place, and he's like, "This is faster."
Yeah. Well, Ridley's also like he's a busy guy.
He's also like an overlord, so he probably thinks flying on a ship is like like regal.
His mom's always making him do chores. I mean, taking out the trash, cleaning the pool.
He's like second in command, third in command. He's a busy space pirate. He's got to go out and pirate things in space.
Cleaning the Inox off the Millennium
That's what Ridley's crime is. He flies out to the space McDonald's and he downloads a movie in the parking lot, and McDonald's still got a bounty on him. That's how Samus got involved.
I think this is more a personal story than Ridley, huh?
There's a great joke in The Guild, if anyone's ever watched The Guild, where everyone's like obsessed with playing this online like WoW inspired game called The Guild, and one of the guys like gets kicked out of his apartment, and so he just drives around like a McDonald's drive-through over and over and over again, ordering only like the cheapest thing on the menu so that he can use their Wi-Fi and continue playing the game. He's just got like a van going through the drive-through every 5 minutes. No, only me. I like the guild.
I remember the guild. I don't remember that. I don't remember that though.
I can't remember the guy. The guy is great. I haven't seen him in much of this. He shows up as like a side character. I was the bald dude.
All I remember is Felicia Day.
Felicia Day.
So. Same.
And Will Wheaton was in it. I met Felicia Day. She's very nice.
Will Wheaton is also in Big Bang Theory. So what can you do?
I imagine Felicia Day was too, because fucking everybody was. The show was on for like 14 years, so makes sense.
And half of them were also in Dr. Horrible. So what can you do?
That's true. Man, they need to redo Dr. Horrible.
Get
All right,
someone
what
else
do you
to do
guys think of the? Well, so we're talking about Ridley. So, like, did Ridley just like fly down?
No, I want to talk about Dr. Horrible. Neil Patrick Harris is going to be in the new Matrix movie.
I'm down for that.
Which isn't related to anything, but I just think it's weird. I want to talk. I want to mention it so that everybody listening can think it's weird too.
It is weird.
I don't know who he's going to play or what role he's in, but just imagine it and let's all be surprised.
All right. So Ridley's in the ship. He comes down, and I feel like the Ridley fight I liked it more in this game than I remember liking it in Super Metroid. I mean, it didn't seem too bad. I thought it really looked awesome as hell with the pixel art that they did for him. Like, it was a fun fight too. And one of the mechanics I really like about Metroid is that every boss fight you do, they always find a way that the boss spits something out for you to refill your missiles and refill your health. And I really like that for a guy who sucks at these type of games.
Yeah.
Even though I have save states, I didn't really care.
I will say, this Ridley fight was real easy for me at least.
Yeah, it wasn't hard, but
the one in Fusion is like really hard. It really gets you.
This is really funny to me. The idea of like you punch Ridley in the stomach as Samus, and just he starts vomiting up missiles, just like that's all he eats is rockets. You hit him in the gut, it's just like rockets start flying out, and you're just like, oh great, I can use this reload.
That'd actually be a cool fan fiction if Ridley was just eating bounty hunters and they all had rockets on them.
That's the only thing he can't digest. There's some casing on the rocket that he can't digest.
It's just that Samus is so fast thinking that she can use the salvage into her own missiles and whatnot.
I'm glad we played this game, if only because I always saw that Ridley. I always saw like that GIF of Ridley floating around, and I didn't know what game it was from. And as like when I got to that fight, I was like, oh, okay. Like I finally ran across this. I mean, presumably it'd be in some Metroid game, but I always saw that like that little GIF of him, his weird like claw, like he's like squeezing his claws together to look intimidating, I guess, and his mouth is wide open.
Oh, yeah, and he's shooting the fireballs.
If I had to describe
looking at it right now,
that GIF in a noise, it would be blah! Like that's the closest I can get to it. Everyone look up the GIF and listen to my voice over it. It just rockets come flying out.
I can remember this. Is there a lot of Ridley screaming in this game?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Weird. Not in my version.
Because like I remember Fusion again. Fusion was really heavy on Ridley screaming.
I mean, I think this game was just really interesting to me altogether. I was surprised. And then, like, how did you guys have a hard time with the mother brain fight and going through all that mess to get to her? Okay, it wasn't just me. I would not have gotten it in like 4 tries if I wouldn't have been using save states. Because I tried to do it legit the first time, and the second time, and the third time. Then I said, screw this shit. I just save state the rest of it because I was getting fucked in that getting to her, but especially just that fight because you get hit and you fall in the lava, and that lava and you're trying to jump out of the lava and you keep getting hit by laser cannons and the red balls and.
So it's essentially the same as the NES version because I've actually played the NES version to where I got the bikini suit Samus, and I feel kind of proud of that. But yeah, it's basically the same thing. Well, thank you. Where when you get down to Tyrion, I believe it is, there's a bunch of Metroids, and you finally have the ice beam, and you can freeze them, which is the only thing that really stops a Metroid. And then after you work your way through, I don't know, like 20 rooms or something, you finally get to Mother Brain. And what Mother Brain is it's this huge brain with an eyeball encapsulated in a glass shield. And everything around you is trying to shoot you. So there's like 2 things on top of you, 2 things on the bottom of you. Mother Brain's trying to shoot you. And I think Space Pirates or something else is in there.
No.
With like missiles.
No, not
just the red.
Something else. Yeah, red balls. And so you're trying to not get hit by at least 10 things. And then if you do, because you're on a small platform, you fall into lava and get burned. So it's not an easy fight by any standards. I'm actually not surprised you stated that one, Mike. It's not easy.
And also, you reminded me how messed up and how just I shouldn't say messed up, but how scary. Like, I've always heard people talk about how scary Metroids are. I'm like, yeah, they weren't that big of a deal in Super Metroid. And then I ran across my first Metroid in this game, and it scared and it was like, these things are vicious as hell in this game. Like, I was like, okay, I understand now.
Well, I always had that same reaction because I was like, the only Metroid I knew of in Super Metroid was the Metroid larva. I was like, oh, this thing's like just like a little cute little animal that follows you around. Yeah, and then the Metroid starts showing up in Zero Mission. I'm like, what the fuck? You're not cute little babies. Get off of me.
It's great too because they just like come out of the dark, like from the background, and just kind of rush you.
Yeah.
So spooky. Scary.
It's even spookier with the music on, Mike.
Yeah.
I tried. I tried. I just couldn't do it. I'm just not a big music person in general. I mean, well, again, one of my favorite artists listen to is Taylor Swift. So, again, my opinion is out the window for music. And Nickelback.
Taylor Swift can be
like Nickelback
scary.
A lot.
I assume. I don't listen to her.
It's not.
Spooky, scary.
And you are
them to collab together as well. The Nickelback Taylor Swift single.
Well, here's a funny thing I haven't brought up on the show. Like, our intro starts with a tape being put in. Actually, it's I think an SNES thing being popped into the cartridge, but there's also a Taylor Swift song as the same kind of sounding right at the beginning of one of her songs, which is not I didn't do it. DJ created the intro, but I was like, that's cool.
Well, it's funny because I hear that and all I can think of, it sounds like somebody's loading a Nerf gun every time I hear it.
I think it's supposed to be a Super Famicom game being popped into it. I think it's recorded.
Yeah. But it's the same noise as somebody loading a Nerf gun. So that's for our audience to ruin the intro for everybody. All you're going to hear is a Nerf gun now. And if you're like me, you'll hear the Nerf gun being loaded and you'll get like tingling down your spine because you think you're about to get shot with a Nerf gun.
What happened to you? I'm curious.
I had mean cousins.
Okay.
And friends. I can relate to that.
We used to play Nerf because we were nerds, lonely nerds. We'd go to a friend's house and we'd have like these massive Nerf wars, which was awesome. But then like the next day we all come into school and we'd have like black eyes because we just shot each other in the eyes all the time. I had I felt so bad. There was a friend of mine I went to high school with. She was running up a stairwell and I was sitting at the top of the stairs with what I thought was the coolest Nerf gun ever. It was a double-barreled shotgun Nerf gun that like actually had shells that popped out when you loaded it.
That's awesome.
She ran up the stairs. Also, I sawed off the barrel too, because why not? She ran up the stairs, and I pointed at the stairwell and shot, and both darts came out, and it hit her in both her eyes. She
Are you sure you didn't just shoot somebody? You're just trying to cover it up.
Yeah, I shot somebody right in the face, and I told the cops it was Nerf. They were like, "What's with all this blood?" And it was like, "Nerf is crazy." But yeah, she had two black eyes, and the next day went to school and she was telling everybody that Stuart gave her two black eyes. And I was like, you can't say that. You can't say I gave you two black eyes. You have to give context.
Hope this is not my cousin's blood.
She was like, no, you deserve this. And I was like, We're going to think I just go around punching people in the face. Both fists in both their eyes.
Okay.
She got me right later.
Stefan, since you played the original Metroid, how did the final thing hold up compared to the original one? I mean, it's mostly the same.
It's mostly the same. I would say it's a little easier in this version, obviously.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like you could spam a lot better in the original than you can in this one. It's a little more locked down to how many you can shoot per tap, and second. But yeah, I'd say that the original was harder.
Okay. I mean, that older hardware. That older hardware, you could break the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Samus, she was a lot more floatier, jumping wise, so that kind of helped.
Now you'll know the unlock you get when you beat the game, right?
No.
You unlock the original Metroid on the cart.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can go play it if you want, with just beat and save.
No, I don't want to.
It's like an actual emulated version within the game, which is really cool.
I don't know. I can emulate it other ways. What was that?
Well, you should be able to do it now, Mike, if you.
Because they also offer that when you beat Fusion and Prime and you connected them with the GameCube stuff, you can unlock it there too.
Yeah, because that's its own Virtual Console as well.
So they really wanted you to play Metroid because I think that was also its own GBA cart.
When is
Yes, it was. Yeah, classics.
Now that Nintendo's releasing a bunch of classic games on the Switch, I really hope that all the Metroids make their way to it eventually.
They should. They really should.
I don't know if any of them are on there right now, but I would definitely like to see.
Super Metroid is. I'm pretty
Super
sure.
Metroid is because it's in the
NES or SNES thing that they released.
Can we just pause for a second and talk about and like theorize why doesn't Nintendo just release back catalogs? Like, why is that a thing?
Because they're Disney and they want that that value.
Well, like they've started doing it more, and like I don't know. The thing is, like they released. This is one of those things where like I'm annoyed at Nintendo and I love Nintendo at the same, just constantly, just forever. I will forever love and be annoyed by Nintendo.
Yeah, 100% agreed. Yes,
like they need to release their back catalog, but they have done on the Switch. They've released the NES and the SNES for free, which is fucking awesome. I mean, it's for free as long as you have the online. You just have
$20.
Like $20
a year.
Yeah. But still, you get a bunch of NES games, a bunch of SNES games, which is how I've played a couple games we've done, I think, so far.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's free. And at one time, on one hand, I'm like, this is awesome, Nintendo. You released a bunch of free games that I love. Sick. On the other hand, I'm like, you could have charged for it. And if you charged for it, then they would have seen like a lot of money come in, and that might have like, made them feel like they could release older games and throw a bunch of their back catalog.
They did that already.
They did have the virtual console for Wii and Wii U.
Yeah, but the problem was that I was on the fucking Wii U. Like a lot more people have Switches
and
than
some
Wii U's.
dumbasses bought Super Metroid 2 or 3 times on different Wii's. I don't know any of those dumbasses personally, but I know some people did.
Here's the thing too. Every time they go back and they release new entries in those franchises here and there, but every time it's like there's an excuse, like, oh, Kid Icarus doesn't control that well. Oh, Samus Returns isn't on Switch, so I'm not going to buy a 3DS and play it.
Yeah.
It's like they give these chances, and every time people fail to do the thing that they should do and support them, and in the hopes of getting something else out of it. Because that's kind of what happened here with like Fusion and Metroid Prime did really well. So we got Zero Mission and Prime 2 and all that other stuff, and then Metroid stopped being good again.
And Metroid, don't forget Metroid Prime Pinball, which I think
Hunters.
It did really well, I think.
I never even played. I didn't even know it was actually a mainline series kind of game until we were recording this episode. I was reading the timeline. I'm like, oh, it's actually part of the timeline.
I think when DJ was
Hunters was like big on the DS because that demo came with all those launch DSs.
Yeah.
Back when DJ was on the show and we did Super Metroid, we kept talking. We went into length about how Metroid Prime Pinball was actually really good and did really well.
It was good
for being a pinball game. Like it did surprisingly well.
Well, I think it's about time that we should.
Thank God Nintendo is Nintendo and not Konami, and they weren't like every game's a pinball game now.
Like this game had a fake out. Because you beat the game for anyone that you realize you're playing. You're playing the original Metroid. I had to cut you off. I don't feel sorry. It's okay. But the game ends. Not you.
I'd forgotten about this entirely. So I'm glad you said it.
I had it written down. But and then you beat Mother Brain. You escape. You get in your ship. You're flying off. You're like, yeah, I beat the game. I mean, I already knew, of course, because this is came out over 10 years ago. And I did like the fake out where all of a sudden she's escaping, and to me. I don't know why, but as I was watching a stupid cutscene of it, and you see all these little ships like gang up on her, it reminded me of like some stupid thing saying, "This is how sperm works. Here's the egg, and they surround it." I don't know why. That's what popped in my head.
Dr. DNA shows up.
It's like,
I'm Dr. DNA.
I love Dr. DNA. He's awesome.
Dr. DNA just needs to be in everything.
And then they blow up her ship, and then she abandons her suit in the ship.
I'm going to stop you right there. They blow up her ship and her clothes, which felt a little. I get that it's her power suit, and that like Zero suit is still what she's wearing underneath of it.
I think what happened is that they started attacking her. She had to abandon ship, and she couldn't get her suit back on. It's not they blew it up. It's that there was no
her
time
suit
for
was
her
destroyed.
Was it?
Yeah, it was destroyed with the ship. So I guess she wasn't wearing the suit. Maybe it was in the ship and it got blown up. But in my mind, what happened was she was wearing the suit. The ship got blown up, and the suit got blown off of her like anime style. I was like, this is a little much.
I'm okay with it.
I was like, I kept going back and forth. Where I was like, I like gameplay wise, it's great because you suddenly play as like completely vulnerable Samus. And I was like,
which was
like,
really cool.
Yeah,
like this game becomes Metal Samus for a little bit. I did like that it felt like a Metal Gear game where you're sneaking about. Like you have one of the early scenes when you're in the Zero Suit, all you have is a freaking shitty little gun, and I think you're crawling in a vent or something.
Yeah,
and you see all these space pirates just running below her. It's a really cool scene.
By the way, her animations in that segment are really good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, her running animation is boss.
You have you have like the pistol that you see in so many fucking pictures of Samus that she never uses until this game.
Well, also this was like I never played this game before, so my first experience with Metroid Zero Suit Samus, what the hell man Metroid for, was from Smash Brothers Melee, I think I want to say.
Brawl.
Brawl.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a long time.
Yeah, and everyone was like, oh shit, you can play as Zero Suit Samus.
That was,
and I was like,
I knew nothing. I mean, I knew it was in this game, but I knew nothing about it until we played and I experienced it. And I thought it was like, I mean, yes, you keep some of your powers, you still have the stupid, which I had forgotten to mention this, but I really need to mention it. Why the fuck is the power grip a power up in this game? Like, she can't just grab ledges normally. Like that was the shittiest, most important power up in this entire game. Like, it pissed me off.
Bounty hunting is hard, Mike. Okay, just give her some slack.
Well, the power suit's like it's like the Spartan suit from Halo, where it like all the power is in the suit and she's just piloting it.
Oh yeah,
it's also her first /0 missions. She needs to learn how to grab the walls.
Yeah,
even though technically by this point she's still some world-renowned bounty hunter. So I don't know.
What was this is my new definition of millennial is people who remember when ledge grabbing became a thing in video games. There was like so many games where that was never a thing, and then suddenly it started showing up everywhere.
Again, I think Fusion had it the whole time. It was never an issue.
It wasn't in the
Fusion takes place at the end of the timeline, so
and no one remembers.
I don't think ledge grabbing was in Super Metroid 2 either, was it?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So
the first game I remember having it was, I think, Jak and Daxter, or maybe it might not even have been until Jak and Daxter 2. I don't know. There's a very clear point where suddenly every game had ledge grabbing, and we were like, "Oh, thank Christ!" Like there was a point where you could not swim in any video game, and suddenly you can swim in every video game, and shit is way better.
Castlevania comes to mind.
To the point when you'll go back and play like the original Sly Cooper, and you'll fall in water and die, and you're like, "What the fuck? I thought this was a video game."
Or it's like when they have mirrors, and then sometimes you'll see stuff in the mirrors, and sometimes it'll just be opaque.
It's one of those things that never existed until it did, and then everybody had it.
That the scene where you are Zero Suit Samus doesn't overstay its welcome before you get your suit back. Like, I mean, you have a few moments you got to sneak around, you have alarms going off, but it felt decent to me. It didn't feel overwhelming. It didn't feel too much. It was kind of a cool thing. It was a gimmick. It was there. And then it goes away, and I was okay with it, because when you get your suit back, earlier we had mentioned you get these 3 items that don't do anything because you can't read Chozo, and then you get a new suit.
You can't read Chozo.
I can't read apparently either.
Can't read. Get out of here.
I loved it when you get your powered up suit. You get the Varia suit, is it?
The Varia suit is just the name of her suit.
And then the gravity suit, I think, at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, the gravity suit is
you get fully powered up. Okay, that was when I got to finally kill all the pirates that were fucking me over earlier. There was a joy in my heart as I shot those pirates straight dead. Just shot them all. Like, I'm like, you're in my way. You're out of my way. Murder them.
We're all dumb. It's just called the fully powered suit.
No, whatever.
He's like, what is it called when you get that suit that's fully powered up? I don't know it. It's just called the fully powered suit.
Come on,
the great thing about the last level there, it's like a really tightly paced action scene. Just like you have the sneaking around, and then it assumes you're going to get caught, and then because it has all those ledges where you can hide, then it's like like perfectly funnels you into like that Chozo area. Like it's all very specifically paced. Like there's space pirates at very specific points in different rooms.
This is my favorite track in the game, is when she's running and it does that like bass line where it's like doom 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 doom. Oh God, Mike. It's my favorite track in the game. If anyone's curious, look up what it is. It's amazing.
The entire soundtrack for this game, honestly.
I'm an asshole. What can I say?
I really liked that. I really liked that like weird combination this game had of like fantasy sci-fi, because the way you get the suit is like you like unlock more history of the world, and like you unlock the suit through that, and you get fully powered up. It's like something out of like Sailor Moon, where like it does like the flash and the suit appears on her.
So you're saying she's fighting pirates by moonlight?
Yes.
We Metroid by daylight.
Keep going.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, keep going.
I can't. I've got to go.
Just do the rest of the song right now.
There's booing in my background.
The name of her pistol. But
so
yeah, I don't know, something about there's some media that tries to blend like fantasy and sci-fi. I think like 9 out of 10 times for me it always fails. And something about this game, like it felt really like it made sense. It was like it's sci-fi, but it's like the fantasy world of the Zebes or whatever. And
it's because you don't really know anything about the world. It's just all kind of there, and it kind of feeds you bits and pieces. And the shows are so mysterious on top of a mysterious just story. That's like, okay, I guess they can be magic, whatever.
Yeah, it's got that like that fantasy element to it, where it's like you're uncovering mysteries of the past, and then all of a sudden you're like transforming into fully powered suit Samus.
I just heard a vaudeville voice when you did that, Stu. Mysteries of the past.
Mysteries of the past.
It's also implied throughout that like the Chozo are like more Earth-based and less technology-focused, except when they are, because they have all the ruins and all those statues, and then like the space pirates and the people make all those space stations and stuff.
Unlock the mysteries of the Chozo on this episode of Super Metroid.
That was good.
Don't forget your paralyzer pistol.
I was gonna say the one critique that I had coming into this was that the last level seemed very isolated, and you really couldn't get back to the main world. Except then I found the map before we started, and there's totally a way back to the regular part of the game.
There is.
But I guess Samus was abroad the whole time.
Yeah, if once you get powered up, if you explore those like super missile and power bomb doors, there is a way back.
Oh, I didn't know that, because I could go back and got that damn energy tank.
Yeah, and I played this game for literally 13 years, and I didn't know that until now. So there you go.
You guys are having this conversation. I'm just trying to make Stefan laugh in the background.
Coming to a GameStop near you.
I'm going to check the list of bounties before heading out.
Next time we talk about the final
that demon raid right in the face.
final boss of this game. I mean, I should have.
The final boss, because there's two different things. Final boss. Because the final bosses are those black space pirates.
Yeah, that's
racist. Good. Okay, I don't care about them. They don't count. They're just idiots that stand in your way that I shot kill. I'm talking about Mecha Ridley. Mecha Ridley was an asshole.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I mean, they built that body really freaking quick.
Right in the face.
If you do it with super missiles, though, you can take it out pretty easily, at least.
That's what I did. I saved and loaded after each hit because I kept missing. The game is hard.
So I had to look it up too, because I thought Mecha Ridley was Ridley, but it turns out it's just a robot built by Ridley in his own.
Oh, I thought it was Ridley too, and they rebuilt him.
No. I think in Prime, it's Ridley's rebuilt as Mecha Ridley.
Okay.
So I don't know how that differs, but okay, I don't know.
The Mecha Ridley in Zero Mission is just a robot that Ridley built that looks like Ridley.
Okay, sure.
Don't ask me how Ridley built a robot. I don't know how much
the Space Pirates do it.
The Space Pirates do it. Yeah, but they have claws, and Ridley has like talons.
They have technology. They have tools.
I don't know. Maybe I'm stuck in my like worldview of having 10 fingers and opposable thumbs.
Because we have tools made for humans. We don't have tools made for space pirates. They would probably look at our hands and be like, "Why do you have 10 fingers? You don't need that."
Yeah. I think there's a joke in like Mass Effect at some point where you're talking to I think a Batarian where he's like you goddamn humans are so clumsy, and some other guy's like, it's because they have 4 extra fingers. Totally
that makes sense. Actually makes sense.
He's got like a screwdriver is like just 3 instead of like the modules that have like the grip grooves in it for 10 fingers. It's just like you see 2 of them. You're like, how the fuck does this work?
Yeah.
Could Ridley could he hold the sword from Halo?
Probably.
Yes, I think he could. Because it just kind of grips in there. All right, I think you guys ready to move on to questions?
That crossover going to happen.
Well, I also just want to highlight real quick that last space pirate in the escape ship that just jumps out at you. Just a little fuck you if you're too weak to beat it.
Yeah.
This game, it does the same thing as I feel like that it ends the same way that Super Metroid begins. I always like that. Metroid ends with like you escaping the lab, and Super Metroid begins with you escaping the lab, and ends with you escaping the lab too. Actually, a different lab.
Yeah. Also, Super Metroid takes place chronologically now, way later.
Well, they all take place in the future, Mike. So
yes.
So
not a galaxy later. Far, far away.
Start 29.
Zebes is actually just. Yeah, haven't you seen all the Chozo statues hanging around Minnesota? Tons of them. It's a real menace.
It does get pretty snowy around here soon, so starting.
Just
look like
a big
hell.
You just gotta curl up in a ball and it'll warm you like a heater.
Last year we could have, it was starting to look like Lost Planet last year. It was with that Arctic freeze. I mean, I felt like I was playing Lost Planet, but in real life, walking around freezing to death. But that's a whole nother story.
Should I mention? I should mention how the weather is trying to kill me again.
Yes.
As we were talking this week. What the fuck was it like? Was it Thursday? I think it was Thursday. I don't know.
I think it's just a Tuesday to me.
A Tuesday. I sent at some point over the week. I had to send Mike and Stefan a quick message because I didn't know if I was going to be on this podcast because a fucking tornado hit us, like out of the blue, which in Virginia Beach is very rare. Like thankfully I was awake and I was outside. I was like getting a drink in our garage.
You were outside?
I was in our garage, and like all of a sudden it started pouring down raining. And like the garage door was about to fly off, and my phone started going crazy, and it was like, "Tornado alert! Get into your basement now!" Which was funny because if you don't know about Virginia Beach, you're not allowed to have basements here. It's so swampy and wet. And so I had to go wake up everybody. I went to wake up everybody in the house because the whole house is just covered in fucking windows, of course. So I was like, we gotta like get somewhere safe. Apparently, a tornado is about to kill us all. And we're standing on my fucking front porch, and the sky. I've never seen this in my life. Never seen this before. We have a lot of. I think I don't know if I mentioned this on the show before. I talked to Mike and Stefan about this before. We have a lot of heat lightning, so like, which is like purple. So I've seen the sky turn purple. I've never seen the sky turn fucking neon green before.
Oh yeah, well that's tornadoes for you.
Yeah, we were looking outside and we're like, I don't know, it doesn't look like it's gonna hit us. I think it's fine. Fucking light green, neon green lightning hits the goddamn hits across the street. We're like, oh shit, let's get inside.
Yeah. I told Stuart, I was like, I think he went to the other world because he told us he heard sirens too.
Yeah,
from the base or something.
Yeah, that base is pretty close to us, and so I was waiting to hear the fucking sirens start going off. I should have expected it because earlier that day it started raining out of the blue and all the jets had to start flying back in because, like I said, there's a base around here, so they fly all the military fly their jets around here for practice and whatnot. And so at some point it just started raining out of the blue and all the jets started flying in at the same time. So you'd see like 6 jets in a row going through this heavy rain, and I was like, "Oh God, something bad is gonna happen today." It just looked menacing. It looked like a scene out of Star Wars.
That's awesome.
What's that? Star what?
Yes, Star Treks. It looked like the fucking scene out of Rogue One when they're flying on that like rain planet to get Jin's dad. That's what it looked like. Like they were flying overhead, and I was driving, and out loud I was like, dun 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 dun. Dun.
All right.
So I thought I was going to die, and I was like, oh boy, I don't know if I'm going to be on the podcast this week. My house might not be here. Apparently, it hit like half a mile from us. So almost killed me.
The game might have found good luck protecting you, saving you.
Good luck. I'm convinced there's no such thing as good luck in Virginia Beach, okay? I went outside the other day, and there were fucking 200 crows across the street, and it was like foggy outside. I was like, this town is cursed.
Were you nice to them?
You should leave Silent Hill here. Silent Hill, Raccoon City combined one day.
Because if you're mean to crows, they remember and they tell their family that you were mean.
Crows are. He's not even kidding. Crows are insanely intelligent.
He's not even kidding.
Crows are very, very, very smart birds.
Like they will know people to avoid and people to be good to.
Yeah. They also, people don't know this, crows can mimic human voices. It's just like parrots and parakeets and whatnot, but crows can do it.
Not a lot of people are going to get this reference, but whenever I see crows, I think, the eyes of the Dark One is what comes in my head, but someone got that joke somewhere else. If you're listening, he got that joke.
I was thinking of the line where the crow flies up and gets words, it's like, fuck you. Anyway.
All right. I think it's time to move on to questions, comments, and memories.
Enough with my cursed city.
I I actually got a bunch for this. I got a decent amount. I'm not gonna read them all, but I have a couple I want to read. First one from David Lewis. He said, "I legit think Zero Mission is the best playing 2D Metroid." You know, I think so far I agree, but I only played 2. Everything just feels right, especially in terms of movement options. I honestly feel like Zero Mission should be the template going forward for 2D Metroid games. Samus Returns is similar, but still felt different enough to lose points in a few areas. One thing we hadn't really touched base on, this game is short. Like, you can beat it in 3 hours, but that was enough. Like, it was nice, short, sweet. I played it. I enjoyed it. I beat it. I moved on. Like, I was completely okay with that.
I do wish it was a little bit longer, but yeah.
I also play a game every week for a podcast, so I'm okay when games are short. But that's that's my own illness I suffer. Another comment from Ron Hutone. I do not know what this means, but I'm going to read it anyway. Any special pants you wore while playing? No, sir. I actually wore no pants sometimes.
No pants.
Because I did not play this mobile. I played this in front of a computer. So
all right.
I was wearing the MC Hammer parachute pants.
Hammer time. Dude.
All right.
I think he's asking
Stefan
if you're wearing brown pants.
Okay. He said, I remember picking this game up on the way home as a kid, got it, and the strategy guide played a lot of it. It was the second Metroid I ever played, Fusion being the first. You know, it's a good game and a good Metroid game. So, you know, that's not a bad place to start. I mean, it is a Zero Mission, but I think it would be a really good intro point for a lot of people. If you haven't played this series yet and you're curious, you want to get in, this is the one to play for.
Probably.
I'd agree to that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really good starting point.
Yeah.
Super Metroid was a lot harder for me being a guy. I mean, from what I remember from a year ago, who hadn't played a lot of Metroid games, it was very hard to get it. Where this one, I didn't have a problem with.
I am basing that off of having only played Super Metroid and this. So,
I mean,
I think this is an easier starting point than
Super Metroid is still very hard to me, so I've not beaten it yet. So take that for what you want.
Once we play all the other games, maybe I'll say they're the best starting point. I don't know.
I played Fusion before, but I beat it, but I didn't beat it. But we'll talk about that in another episode.
If we had only played Super Metroid Other M, then I would have thought that was the best starting point. So take that how you will.
Okay. This one from Terry Chandler. He said it's probably my second favorite Metroid after Super. Such a satisfying, short little adventure that perfectly encapsulates what Metroid is as a series. And then just when you think it's over, wham! It becomes side-scrolling Metal Gear. You are correct, sir. You are correct.
Yeah. It took us all by surprise, I think. Well, it took me by surprise, at least. I was not expecting this game to suddenly become a very different game in the last 10 minutes.
I knew it was coming because I've known of this game for years. I didn't have a Game Boy Advance. Like, that was one generation where I skipped it. I had Game Boy Color, I had Game Boy, but I never had a Game Boy Advance. So some of these titles for me are these are my first time ever digging into these. And a Nintendo DS.
Better late than never.
Yeah, I'm very happy that I did finally play this.
Metal Ridley.
In doing research for this, I found out that there's a couple Metroid mangas out there, which I did not know about, and I am excited to start reading those. Apparently, there's a number of Metroid manga because I was looking at the suits and I kept seeing manga images of them. And I was like, that's not in this game. Where's that from? It's like, oh, it's from the e-manga, and I was like, well, shit, I gotta read that.
Yeah, that's where your story goes.
The e-manga is the best starting point for the Metroid series.
And I got a few questions to read from the Metroid Homeworld Facebook group. So if you guys didn't listen to the episode, thank you for some commentary. One from Israel. He said the best remake ever. I don't agree, but it was a pretty damn good. Well, I never played the original Metroid, but I enjoyed it. It's a good remake because I enjoyed it, and I don't like the first Metroid from what I played. But hey,
I want you to try that guy's
another
last
question
name.
or another
What's his
comment.
last name?
EIDE. I don't know how to say it either, so we just put Israel.
ID? Yeah, I think would be Eid or Edie. I would think. I don't know.
Okay.
I do like you just calling Israel though, like Mario.
From Kelvin Icardi was my first Metroid game back then. I bought it in like 2005. I didn't know anything about the lore or the mechanics. It was a great introduction to this universe. Loved every bit of it. I feel grateful for people. I shouldn't say grateful. I feel awesome for the people that get to play certain games having no understanding what you're going into, and this would be a good game for that. Unlike Silent Hill, do not play that if you don't know what the fuck's happening, because you'll be fucked.
Silent Hill's great.
According to Ancestry.com, it is either Id or ID. So tell us how you pronounce your name. See if Ancestry.com.
Please, write in. All right. From Gabriel Goldarian. He said, I'm currently replaying it and love how they use some arts and scenarios directly from Super Metroid, giving a great atmosphere and connection. But I don't really like the fact that the game gives you directions and marks on the map. I love that. Helping you too much. I disagree. I understand that the exploration of old Metroid games can be a little too frustrating when you don't remember something important to decide where to go, but this game helps the player more than is needed. Not for me. You need it a lot.
I'm kind of curious how old this person is, because I know once you get older, you have less time, and you're kind of more okay with that. When I was younger, it was like, oh, I want to explore everything, and now it's like,
who cares about it?
Guide.
There's really no reason to anymore. Like if it helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like I think it's better to have those options than not.
It's definitely rare now that I will beat a game and be like, oh, I wish that was longer. Just like, thankfully I'm done with that. And I can go on to play the next game.
Exactly.
Even before this podcast, I would gravitate towards shorter games and skip longer ones in general. Like I don't want to, like when I was a kid, I didn't have any money. I would only play RPGs because that was the most bang for my buck.
Right.
But nowadays I'm like, I can beat it in 3 hours. Sign me up. But that's because I don't have time.
So I felt about since I just beat Outer Worlds, and I was like, wish that game was longer.
Oh yeah,
well, there is. It's called Fallout 76.
Well, I think I beat that game in like 40 hours. I did like a pretty complete run of it. I was like, oh man,
that's pretty impressive considering you do this podcast. I know how much you work and everything else in your life. I'm impressed, sir.
Well, I really wanted to play Outer Worlds, so.
Well, I'm honestly impressed because I know more about I know a lot about all of us. So I'm like, oh, that's impressive on that much time.
Had like a week. I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna play as much game as I can.
Didn't turn in a single assignment at school.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck you, teacher. I'm gonna be playing Outer Worlds and not romancing anybody because it doesn't have romance.
All right,
it's fine, I guess. But whatever.
Neither does Metroid.
That's true. Yeah, but
you can romance Metroid. I mean, they'll hug you and hold you and cuddle you until your life bar is 0. Doesn't that count? I guess not. All right.
We do.
That's a symbol for more than anything. How well it's destructive.
Make the Metroid dating game happen, R&D 2.
All right.
Make it happen, Capcom.
I got a couple questions left to read. Or a couple things I'm going to read. One from Michael Trevino. He said, does this game still show Samus in the Zero Suit if you beat it super fast, or let you play a Zero Suit Samus? You just play a Zero Suit Samus when you beat the game.
One of the endings is her in the Zero Suit. Completing the game on normal or hard in under 2 hours and under 100% of the items, you get a picture of Zero Suit Samus.
Yep. Did that with a friend.
Yeah, it's her like turning around and looking at you as if you were like a voyeur. It's kind of a weird picture.
All right. Last comment I want to read from Daniel Melman. He said, I appreciate how open-ended it is, but it almost feels too open-ended. Disagree. Once you understand the basic mechanics, there's pretty much no set path. You can go anywhere and anything in any order, and that's fine, but compared to Super's slightly more labyrinth design, it makes sequence breaking feel less interesting. Less like I'm finding a cool alternate puzzle solution, and more like I'm choosing to ignore the waypoint.
I disagree. I think this is the most linear focused of all of them.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it doesn't. Because you tell me where to go, so it was linear to me.
It's certainly a lot more linear than Super Metroid was by I don't know. I think this was. I thought it was a good balance. I thought it was a good balance of like being pretty linear, but still having the option to go do other stuff if you want to. Like Mike was saying, you can give the shit completely out of order. I was saying that some people beat the bosses in reverse order.
That's a whole speedrun category.
Yeah, that's like a challenge in this game. That people can just have with this game. So I mean, I'd say it's linear, but it's not linear to a fault.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I think it's a nice.
It's open world linear.
Yeah, it's like Metro Exodus. It's linear, but it feels open.
I see what you did there, Mike.
I like the way it felt. All right, I think it's time that we move the show for Box. What do you think, guys?
Sure.
All right. Stefan, why don't you go first?
Okay, I didn't know you were going to pick me, but all right.
Did we say who picked this game at the beginning? I just realized.
I thought we said I picked it.
Okay. No.
Don't worry, I'll get to re-listen to it after we get done recording at some point and tell you.
We didn't really introduce it either. We just started talking about it immediately.
Yeah, we introduced it. The title will say Metroid Zero Mission.
Let's introduce the game now.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
2004 game made by R&D 1 that dissolved soon after.
I did say all that.
The original Metroid.
All right, Stefan, since we bought you some time, a serious shelter box.
Yeah. So yeah, I beat the original Metroid, and this is pretty much a remake of it. I do enjoy it as a remake. I remember reading the Game Informer review. I think it said something like people didn't like the fact that it was a remake. I don't know why, but it basically is. Yeah, it's fine. I think the animation of it still holds up too. Like when you get on the little save pedestal and all the lights come up and everything. It's definitely still part of the Game Boy Advance era. The graphics do look like that era, but I think they hold up. I think the game holds up. Fighting Mother Brain is always fun. I enjoy that. So yeah, I'll put it on my shelf.
Okay.
I was just waiting for Mike to interrupt me.
You know what happens. It happens.
Just kidding. Yeah.
Happens every time. This crazy Mike interrupting thing.
Okay. The benefit of going first is you can interrupt Mike now.
Yes.
Stuart, man, why don't you go next?
Sure. I'm gonna put this game on my shelf. I wasn't sure going into it if I was going to like it or not. I really like Super Metroid, but everybody likes Super Metroid, so no surprise there. And this game, I was like, I don't know a lot about Metroid. Like I said, I've only played Super Metroid. I was barely aware that other games existed. I just know that some people didn't like Other M, and apparently some people didn't like Prime, even though apparently Prime did really well, which I'm learning now.
Prime 3 is really good.
Prime 3 is the bad one. Okay.
Prime 2 is also not great.
But maybe that's the one I was thinking of. But yeah, like I said, I don't know a lot about like the Metroid series. So going in, it was completely blind for me, and I end up really enjoying it. I usually don't like platformer games that much. I tend to suck at them. But Metroid is nice because it's not a full platformer. Like, you're still battling space pirates the entire time. And it's got that, like, crushing atmosphere that I just love in games. Like, the music is so intense, even though Mike wouldn't know that. The music is so intense.
I tried. I just couldn't do
it. It sounds vaguely Zelda-y at times. It's got that, like, early Nintendo sound to it, despite being so, like, dark and isolating. And yeah, just the visuals, like every aspect of this game is great. The sound design, the visuals, it's got like when you get her fully powered suit near the end, you're in these like really dark areas, and it's just like this bright purple and yellow, which if you see the suit by itself, I always think purple and yellow is such an ugly combination. But being in like that dark environment stands out so much more.
Yeah, it works on her.
I said that, and then I realized I'm a Vikings fan. I'm like, what am I saying?
Yeah. Well, at least you can. Go Nats, by the way, winning the fucking World Series.
Sports.
Go Nats. Yeah, so this game's going on my shelf. Go Nats.
Okay. Dominic, how about you?
I mean, this game has a special memory for me. I remember getting this on like February 2006, like Valentine's Day. I got this in like a subscription to Game Informer, so it was a pretty special day for me. And I've beaten it a handful of times here and there over the last 13 years, and playing it again now. Like, it's really solid still. The animation is really fluid. It looks really good. I think it tells you pretty much like where to go and how to do everything. Like, there's not much in the way of getting lost. At least it wasn't for me. So I would probably put it on my shelf. Like, it's been on my shelf basically. But yeah, it's one of the best games on the GBA. Put it on my shelf, sure.
That's fair.
I can agree with that. Okay, I'll go last since I'm the only person left. And
I
this
know
is definitely going on my
Mike.
Everybody. And we're all waiting.
I hate you all.
No.
Mike.
These are the times when I wish we recorded like in a physical presence where I could just like mute mics when I wanted to. Like, oh, you're not, just mute.
You're gonna say we can't hit people.
But all I can do is kick you out of the chat, and that wouldn't work out very well.
Now it's only my show.
I can mute myself.
I mute myself sometimes. But all right, I'm putting this on
myself.
Processing. I'll just cut all this out so it's just me singing "Regretsroid" by Starbomb.
He sends me the thing, and I'm too busy to edit it. No, you just hear him singing for 2 hours.
You get to the end, you're like, I'm sure it's fine. Last 10 minutes of the podcast, and me talking about my own agenda. Anyway, let's talk about some more tournaments.
All right. This is going on my shelf for sure because I was surprised how much I enjoyed this little game. Like, I couldn't stop playing it. I really liked it, and I was busy as hell this week, and I kept finding time. I just wanted to go home and play Metroid. I'm like, I just want to play Metroid, and it doesn't. I mean, yes, it holds your hand, but I'm okay with that. I'm a busy 32-year-old. I want the game to hold my hand and lead me. I don't want to get lost for 3 hours. Like, I sat here and did nothing for 3 hours. Like, those days are long past. Back in my days playing Final Fantasy 11, sitting there Seek Party for 2 hours. Those days are past. This game really surprised me. Everything in this game surprised me. Like, I remember not liking Super Metroid as much, but this game really grabbed me, and now I understand why people love Metroid as much. And I look forward when we eventually do Fusion on the show and eventually do Metroid 2 Return to Samus, the 3DS remake, and we're not playing the original Game Boy one because
play the original.
I don't feel like not happening.
With a guide, it's easy.
Maybe someday, but this is definitely going on the shelf. And then until the next day, we play a Metroid game.
Tell us how you really feel about it.
All right, I think that wraps up everything. At least for
Can I ask a question? First. How long did it take everyone to beat it?
Probably like 3 hours.
It took me 3 hours, 46 minutes, and 44 seconds, and I collected 57% of the items. I took a picture of the end screen.
So I beat it in like 2 hours, 59 minutes, and 15 seconds with 63%. And then I went back a few days ago and beat it again with like 2 hours and 46 minutes.
Easy game to speedrun, actually.
It totally is.
Yeah, it's pretty optimal.
Yeah, I was looking up some speedruns of it, and it looked like you were beating it in like 40 minutes. A lot of people were playing 40 minutes, so not that difficult.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat those
it's a lot of
definitely cool.
Little short skips.
Yeah.
Did everyone do it in one sitting?
Oh, no. I don't got time for that. But I did not. All right. I think we should introduce what we're playing next week, or actually what we're recording in a couple days. But this is kind of my pick because the game means a lot to me. We are playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4. Turtles in Time.
He's the party.
So we're going to be playing that on the show coming up here. So you guys look forward to that coming up here soon. And Dominic, did you want to give another quick plug out to your podcast where people, after hearing, listen to you on here, might want to look you up?
Sure. You can find me on Dissonant Waves. We're on YouTube right now. We're probably going to go elsewhere, but it's a little music podcast. We just talk about albums every week. There's three of us. It's a fun, chill time. I also write for Totally Windmill Studios, TotallyWindmillStudios.com.
All right, awesome. And I want to give a quick shout out to our awesome intro and outro. Came courtesy of Bulby, a.k.a. Mike Stoney. The song Cool Kid Squad from his EP, Bite the Bullet. Hopefully you'll see a link to him in the show notes. And also the podcast that I mentioned earlier called Pocket Pod. So if you're hankering for some Animal Crossing listening and they have 86 episodes of them playing Pocket Camp for Animal Crossing. How? I don't know, but it's actually it's entertaining. So give them a quick shout out. Go over and see their podcast or listen to their podcast. You can see it too, but you probably want to listen to it because that's the point of a podcast.
Does that Minecraft guy still do his podcast? That's going to be the most vague question ever. But
I have no idea.
There was a guy who did a Minecraft podcast where he was trying to get to the end of the world in Minecraft, and he does like an hour-long podcast supposedly. He used to do a podcast every day where he was just like traveling through Minecraft to get to the end of the world on one of the earlier builds. And somebody did the math on it, and they were like, if he continues in this rate, it'll take him 27 years to get to the end of the world.
He must
have
stopped by now.
He said he's going to keep doing it. I'll have to find it.
All right.
Article.
Oh, good. There's only 17 million Minecraft podcasts to sort through. Fucking not finding that shit.
All right. I want to give a quick shout out to ourselves. As of this recording, we have just hit 7,000 all-time downloads. Thank you, guys. Thank you for everyone listening out there if you're still here. So I just noticed that as I'm sitting there refreshing the thing every minute or something close to that at this point. But I just wanted to say, hey, some people are listening. We appreciate it. For all you guys out there that are still listening to us chatter, please keep on doing it and spread us like the T-virus. And again, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We can be found in most places. And let everyone know. And we want to keep getting those ears. And we got more things planned for you guys. And as always,
Yes.
Well,
actually, before we leave, I'm just going to say happy early birthday, Stu.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Totally forgot about that.
And Mike, wasn't your birthday too recently?
November 1st. So 2 days before this recording.
Happy birthday to both of you, I guess.
Hey, happy birthday. Yeah, mine is in 2 weeks, but we're not recording next week because I'm going to be out of town. But we'll have an episode still.
Yes. We're recording 2 days from now.
We're recording over the week so that you guys will still get an episode while I'm out of town. I'm going to be in New York seeing fucking Hamilton. #suck it.
And I think we
New York.
Yeah, I'm seeing Star Wars. I am going to I'm going to drive to Richmond to see Star Wars with a friend, actually. Oh, by the way, I fucking looked it up. Let's see here. It is still going. The podcast, it's called Far Lands or Bust. I'm not promoting this, by the way. It's something that I find interesting. Yeah, Far Lands or Bust is the podcast, and he's been doing it since 2011, and he's still going, which is pretty impressive.
Wow, yeah.
He holds the Guinness World Record for longest journey in Minecraft.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, I doubt anyone's going to beat him.
I hope that he's not like a total asshole, because every time I find like a new person that I start listening to, they always end up being a total asshole.
It's always a concern makes it.
All right. I
find
think
some
it's
new
time to wrap
musician,
up
it's like, oh, they said some terrible shit. God damn it.
All right. For those still listening, everyone have a wonderful day. We will see you next week. Have a great day, everybody. Bye, everyone.
Bye.